On today's episode of WatchJRGo, we are back in the basement of the new house at this mess of an everything. The mechanical room in here, not great. And today, we're gonna try to make it a little bit better. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and today, like I said, we're here in the basement where you can tell there's a lot of nonsense going on. Like, for some reason, the phone company came in and cut the support for the breaker panel out. We're gonna put that support back and hung their stupid interface box on here. You know how badly I want to pull this wire out of here and hook it straight up to 110 just to maybe give them a little taster of mess. Don't do that. It'll probably catch on fire. So, not a great plan. But what we're gonna do is just go outside and cut the wire and throw all this in the trash because, I mean, they literally sabotaged the house. And you know it's AT&T. They sabotaged my house. Anyway, we're gonna try to make the water system a little bit better because, look at this. All of this stress, this should be like flush to this header up here, is pulling on the water main, and the water main could break at any time. Like, this bend is gigantic. It's, I don't know, what is that, 4 or 5 inches away from the header versus 3 inches from the wall? And there's weight on that. There is weight on that water main. So today we're gonna solve that problem. What I'm gonna do, I was really concerned about cutting this because I don't wanna take too much off and have nowhere to repair things in the future. That's like, you know, that's the name of the game, is that you always need a little more pipe to repair things. And if you ever turn into not enough pipe, well, you dig a big hole outside your house and replace it all. And that does not sound like a good day. So what we're gonna try to do today is have a good day and not get involved with any giant pits. So the water's off to the house, should be at least. And first things first here, I'm gonna shut off the main. I did go upstairs and check, the water is off. Let me move some of this metal around here. All right, I'm actually gonna go to the lowest point in the system and double check, try to drain everything down. I'm gonna go open up one more sink, and then we got a bucket here, a little catch bucket. And we're gonna go ahead and cut here first, dump the water main into this bucket. Hopefully that works out as I expect. You never know if it will or not. And then we'll cut here, take this off, put in a threaded connector, screw in some 3/4 PEX A, bring it over to a ball valve, hook it up to our water filter, and bada bing, bada boom, we've got filtered water. Now that's only step one. As you can see here, I took the laser level and I've drawn a line all the way down my wood, and here is my main valve. This is supposed to be my fin. This is the center line for my PEX manifold that will feed the house. And out of the fin, we're gonna come down, elbow, 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 elbow. I know people are gonna be real mad about that, but let's be honest. There's elbow, elbow, T, elbow, elbow, elbow before this even gets to like the hot water heater in the house. So don't worry about the elbows. People just kind of freak out when you put elbows in, but they look pretty, and the name of the game here is that this looks nice. I mean, there's no other reason we'd be laser leveling our pipes in. Anyway, this piece of wood is down here. This will go to our water softener, and above the water softener, we're gonna take another one out. We're gonna put my RO unit all the way up there. So usually, you know, the RO filters change from the bottom. You just give them a little quarter twist. So I figured we can mount that one really high, and the water softener always comes up to shoulder height or so. So that's a good place for that. And of course, we already have power in here for it too. We're basically ready to mount that board, but that's not gonna be it today because I forgot to get an electrical box. I forget some things, all right? So let's go open up a sink and cut a piece of pipe, a very critical piece of pipe. We went ahead and hung the light up since it's temporaried in. Now you can kind of see a lot better. You can't see the electrical, but you can sure see the plumbing better. So let's make a mess here. I bet it's gonna be, I hate doing this. Ooh, don't you dare unclick. This is the old Cobalt ratcheting cutter, and it's a piece of junk. It works, but it's a piece of junk. I didn't think there'd be much. There will be a lot from the water main into here, I guarantee you that. Not too gross. I've seen worse, guys. I've seen worse. It's just a little bit of brown. It's super nice to have a place to dump it right there. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. There it goes. Is that all of it? Please be all of it. How did that go? It's still dripping on me here. Well, the water level's not coming up, so I think we're doing okay here. Time to cut it. I'm gonna go ahead and get my PVC glue and my coupler ready, and then we'll shoot all this together as fast as possible. I think we can have it all glued up in a matter of moments and put our 90 on and have our valve mounted, which is, that's what we're going for here. I feel like that water valve outside is junk. This either goes well or it doesn't go well. There's no other way to. I'll accept it. It's about as close as I could have cut that. It's so nice using that actual cutter for this. Just a quick mock-up before we commit to this thing. Up, off, valve facing in the direction of flow. I'm a fan of that. I want this thing to sit right about there, which means I want this thing to sit right about here. I think that's good. All right, if that is my point, it looks like I need about right here. That should probably be our cut mark. You know, usually I would cut all of this with I basically only cut PVC with a chop saw. And I remembered I owned this thing because I used to use it on my sprinklers. It's the worst tool of all time though. Don't let me talk you into buying this thing, because look at it, just failing all the time. All right, we got that cut. Let's make sure this is gonna lay out like I want. Looks pretty good. Hopefully it's looking right at my fitting. I think it is. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and glue up the dry side here, and then we're gonna fling the water out, prime and glue this section really quickly, and shove it all together. So originally I was planning on going the other way, but I want it to be dry while I work, so let's do it the right way. Dry it all out with paper towels and then shove it together really quickly, and that should be much better. And then in the future, if you need to work on it, you can just extend it. You know, it's better than going outside the house. Ah, I love using the small can of primer and glue. How did I was so careful. I didn't think I was gonna drip even one hair. And then of course, right on the concrete. Oh well. Couplers, I prime all the way through. And then fling the excess on the ground. And our little union here, our nipple. Make sure it's really primed. And then very quickly we'll glue all this up, shove it together, and be ready for our final piece of PVC. Hopefully I don't have to do any more PVC in this house after this. Ooh, this glue's going everywhere. All right, that's better. This is always the fun part, trying to have three hands for a second. Quick little wipe for all of our joints so we look like professionals, even though I did spill a little too much primer on the outside. We're trying to look like professionals, guys. That's the goal here. All right, now for the wet part. Let's see if we can absorb all the water real quick. Here we go. A little bit on there, a lot of bit on here. Prime, prime, prime. I like it. You guys like it? Looks like a 90 to me. It's a little off my laser mark, just a bit more than I would have liked. But it's gonna work. Oh, I thought I dripped some water out of it. I was like, nope, that's glue. Good thing these buckets were just trash, but we're just a hair, probably an eighth above our line, so I can't be upset about that. Let's catch this glue before it drips. All right, guys, it's time for the future. We got a little bit of Teflon on our PEX-A adapter. All we have to do now is get the PEX-A adapter started there. Tighten this thing down. And I already got the PEX-A expander down here. So for now, we're gonna come over, put in our valve, and man, I kind of hate what I did to myself. I have to kind of mount and plumb all of this now. But you know what? I might as well just do it now. Now is probably as good a time as any to go ahead and get all of this work going. So we'll go ahead and do this. And the reason that I'm not done is because I want to put a fin here and have ultrasonic water measuring. And yeah, and I'm really doing all of this because of the comments, not all of this. I was gonna do this anyway, but the fin, somebody was like, you need an electronic shutoff for your water. And I was like, you're right, you know, especially with a couple water sensors in the basement, because it has a basement, you really do kind of want an electronic water sensor down there that looks for leaks, and if there's anything that hits the water sensor, it just snaps shut and everything's safe in your house. You hope. Unless it breaks from here to here, then all bets are off at that point. But we're gonna try not to have that happen. And it's also cool because it'll show you your usage at every fixture in the house, because it kind of learns what sinks, what showers are, and you get a really good idea of how all the water usage is working out. And I guess if you have kids, you can yell at them for using too much water, dads. So we're gonna tip this in, main ball valve here, get it mounted, and then I'm gonna do a secondary ball valve here. One thing I hate at my current house, when I change my water filter, the whole house drains back down through the filter. Filter's in the basement, so you got 2 levels of house, like water pressure pushing down on the thing. And this filter has a bypass. I don't know why. I see people building bypasses for this filter all the time. It has a built-in bypass. You turn it to right there, and it cuts the filter off, and you can change it. But for some reason, all over the internet, I see people making bypass loops and putting them in there. This filter's great, and you don't really need a bypass. You could just shut the main off and dump your house down. It's not that big of a deal. Another valve just to protect the filter from backflowing, and that one will come over to the water softener, and after the water softener, we'll feed everything else in the house. That'll help our water heater last longer. It makes your clothes last longer, so that's the goal, you know? We're gonna try to make this pretty nice, and it all starts with building all this out, which takes some time, but it's gonna be nice. All right, guys, you know the drill. Grab yourself an expansion ring, set it up to the collar where it stops. Make sure you got your 3/4 expander on your alien tool. And then we're gonna put this right here. And after it's all set up, I know there's water coming out of it actively because the water main valve is probably junk, let's be honest. I closed it as well as I could have, and it's probably just not that great. It's old. So, hey, it does cover our line perfectly. I really do want to just go ahead and put the valve on first. Let's put the valve right there. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh. Is it too cold for this stuff to shrink quick? I can feel it grabbing, but you know, it takes a little bit of time once it's not 70+ degrees or 80-degree tubing. It slows it down quite a bit. So yeah, valve right there. I did try to straighten out my PEX A as much as I could beforehand. Also being really careful with those brass fittings. You do need to be careful with the brass fittings. All right, here we go again. Bang, bang. It's that easy. It is that easy. And hopefully this pipe goes ahead and relaxes, and this turns into a little bit better of a, you know, I don't want this bend here. I bought clamps, and we're gonna put a clamp here and a clamp here to support the valve, obviously. Oh, close the valve. I probably shouldn't close the valve until that sets. All right, that was part 1 of our water system there, getting the main fixed. Obviously, that needed to happen really badly. Now, this nonsense will be going away, and we won't have any strange stress on that main water line there. If this was in copper, everyone would put all those 90s in it and not have a second thought about it, which is one thing I don't understand. Like, you know, when people build manifolds and walls of copper and stuff like that, there's all kinds of 90s in them. And when you do this, it can be exactly the same because PEX A has no flow restriction, right? PEX B actually does have a flow restriction, I think at every single point that you actually connect it again, because it's smaller inside, but PEX A is full diameter. So that's just one of the things I like about it, and I should mark, that's what I want to do. I should mark this out and get going. All right, we are making some progress here. Here's our elbow down. Of course, that's gonna sit right over here, and I'm just letting this connection here that I just made shrink back to size before I shoot this one in. And in a couple seconds, I think I'm gonna take a hair off of that one, just a little bit, take a ½ inch off of that, turn it back, come back, and put 2 more 90s. We'll be hooked up to our filter, and we'll be almost hooked back up to the house. Just like that. I did read a bunch of people saying that the brass stuff isn't as good as the plastic. So if you're wondering why I went from brass to plastic, well, because you do need brass for your ball valves. And I do like the brass adapters to the threaded, but for everything else, it seems like we're gonna be using a lot more plastic. I was buying those brass elbows before, and it's not a price thing. It's really not that different. I think, well, these are probably $8 for 5 or something, and the brass ones are like $8 each. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to people saying that the plastic ones work a lot better. This is a new style of clamp I've never used before, but I like the way it looked a lot better, and the other ones with the nails, they never seem to work very well. So I'm using these half clamps. We're gonna see how that, maybe it works out better than anything I've ever used before. Ooh, why did I do that? I forgot that there's water in there. We got a bunch of these elbows in there. Obviously, it's just 4 of them, but I keep hearing water and thinking it's this leaking, but there's no leaks anywhere. It's actually like drips that were still coming out of the sink through the sewer or something. After I hear it, I realize that it's the sewer and not the water main, which is good. That's great news for us so far here. We're doing pretty well, but we're down to the last connection before the filter. I'm ready to make that one, but I'm letting all these other ones set up. Just a couple more minutes, maybe 2 minutes or something like that, and we'll expand this very last one, slap it on here, put one more clamp right here, and that completes most of our loop. And when we're ready to install our water meter, just 2 quick cuts right there, shove it in, and that will be done. Hopefully it won't ounce. I think it won't ounce. So we'll be back with you guys in just a second when we make this last connection, and then I'll probably go open the water main so we can start pressure testing and make sure there are no new leaks that we weren't aware of. I do know that the water meter's not really stopping all the water, so it's probably pressurized to here almost. Woo, last one, let's stick it on here. I am pumped. So our last cap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still faster than any other plumbing system, that's for sure. All right, I'm gonna be holding this one for a minute, it seems like, because it wanted to tilt on the elbow. Ooh, look at that, there's water in it. Not enough to even fill up the filter. I knew it had some pressure on it though. I just figured this thing leaked, or the street leaks. It looks like we turned on the water and spilled water everywhere, but that's not what happened. What happened was I cut this and water poured out of the house. So at least now, hopefully the water line's drained down and we're about ready to make our main connection. I did decide to bring this over and then 90 it in the corner and put the valve in the corner over there. So for now, we're not gonna have an output valve until the water softener board is mounted. We got some primer on this guy, that's for sure. Ready to glue up our quick and dirty main water connection here, or our 3/4 that used to go to the water heater. Now the water heater is completely out of the circuit. That looks pretty good to me. All right, if only this had something to hold it up to the ceiling. Look, I went to Home Depot. Home Depot doesn't carry Meg tape, which is what I always try to use. So instead, I guess we have, one of them's knockoff. I don't know which one's which, but I've got the OD Fast tape here. It's good stuff. It's exactly the same as Meg tape from what I can tell. I don't feel a difference. The nice thing is with both of these tapes, you only need 3 wraps. Maybe 2, but usually 3. So that's wrapped up, ready to go in. And we've got one more line, turn the water back on. I don't know if Lowe's has the best PVC in the world, but I usually don't have this good of a luck, this good of a time getting this stuff started and tightened down. But it's working really well today. Working really well. Well, I'm just sitting up here waiting on this thing to set up. It should be done any second now. I mean, I could probably let go of it now. As you guys can see, there's this line here that I cut out. It used to be on a T. And this is an outdoor spigot that would not stop leaking. So I was super happy to just cut it out of the circuit and be done with that temporarily. So I think that's probably good now. Hey, look at that. Moved the whole barcode off with my hands. All right, this should be all good. Let's hop down here and make our little temporary connection. And when we reconnect all this, I will cut this out and reuse every bit of it I can. not trying to buy any extra PEX here. And to make this easy, we'll just put a nice big bend in that water line. Man, I can't win with that Ethernet cable. This Ethernet cable is always in my way. Put it back here. Back to having one working sink, 3 working sinks, and 1 toilet. I do have that valve open and you guys can see the filter filling up. It's been filling up for a long time here. And this time, I know previously they didn't properly support that water main, and I did. I rehung the hangers up in the ceiling, so we should be ready to go. It's 8:25. We're gonna wait until 8:40, turn on the main, and do a little leak check action. I think we're okay. We do have our PEX manifold coming, and I did have that all marked out here. I pulled the dimensions off Home Depot's website. Home Depot seems to be the one place to really get manifolds. So I bought the biggest Apollo PEX manifold I think you can buy. And not because I wanted to, because I kind of had to. We need either 16 or 17 cold water ports in this house. It has a ton of cold water. Over here on the hot side, I think I only need 7 ports. So that's not that crazy. You know what? 4 sinks, 2 showers. That's basically it, yeah. Oh, and the garage. The garage has its own hot water too. There's 7 hot water, but there's something like 16 or, yeah, I think 16 or 17 colds. So we got the 36 port Apollo manifold. It's a monster. It should be here, you know, I ordered it a couple days ago, but I think it said it'll be here Thursday. So we're a few days away from that, but very soon we'll have, we'll be in water business here. This took long enough. I didn't think it was gonna take, you know, most of the time when you're doing PEX A and you're just throwing it together, it's like 4 minutes. But when you want it to be level and you're out here trying to straighten the pipe before it goes on, it takes a long time. And there's no, you know, hot sun outside for me to go stick it in, so I can't just get it to unroll easily. But I think we're getting close here. A couple more minutes, and maybe tomorrow I'll get a box and we'll get this board in, and we need to order our water softener. It's hot. And by hot, I mean cold, because there's no hot water, guys. But let's see. Dry, 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 dry. And we should probably wait a few more minutes. It's probably been 30 minutes since I did this. Maybe, I don't know. It's been a little while since I did this section here. But I really want to turn it on. Should we just? Yeah, we should. All right, let's fill this filter up. There was residual water on there. That's not new water. I should have wiped everything down first. But we spilled water everywhere earlier. Oh, we have a leak. Look, Jake and I put this on earlier, and I was like, it doesn't need to be very tight. It definitely needed to be tighter than whatever we just did. I'll tell you that much. Okay, it's bottomed out. Turn it back on. There's still more water coming out of the filter. I was not expecting this as a failure point. Let me dry this completely. It's leaking again. I don't know if this filter's defective or what's going on here, but I went ahead. Oh, it helps if you drain the thing down. There it goes. Come on. She should be happier now. Draining the whole house down, just like I said I didn't want to do. Into the filter. Alright, here, it's going to release. Let's see if the O-ring pushed itself out. I doubt anything could have happened here. But I want to be sure before I turn the water on and leave this house, as any of you guys would. Looks fine to me. The filter was definitely seated, the O-ring's in its groove. Nothing's wrong here. Let's put it back together. You know, when I pulled this thing out of the box and tried to take it apart, holding it with my legs, and I couldn't do it. I don't know why, but this might be why. Okay, back to filter we go. We're out of bypass. Water back on. And full pressure. Well, there's some water hammer right there. Did you guys hear it? We had a little click. All right, we've got full water pressure on it this time. I mean, I cranked it down. I would prefer if this wasn't tightened that hard, but you know, this label, as far as I'm concerned, should be lined up. I think that's where it was when it came out of the box. Now it's like over a quarter turn, eighth of a turn. So at least it's not leaking. Dry. Full pressure on it. I'm gonna go run a little bit of water. I think we've succeeded at getting this far. Not very far, but we're somewhere halfway to a water system. All right, let's test out our work. There's still no hot water, but there sure is cold. There's gonna be a lot of air in there. Or none. Where's all the air at? We should have a bunch of it. Guys, I guess they probably didn't put the weight. You know, there's supposed to be a weight that hangs on these sinks that have the pull-out head, and that weight pulls this down all the time. I guess it's not there, because every time I put this back, it just falls back down. I do love this gimmicky sink though, that has, maybe you guys had this when you were a kid. It turns red when it's hot and blue when it's cold, and I ordered them from ThinkGeek back in the day. Some of you guys that are a million years old like me will remember ThinkGeek. They're long gone, but they were the place to get all the coolest stuff. Well, if you didn't have to go to the bathroom, now you probably do. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop, WatchJRGo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. And I will talk to you next time here on Plumbing Inc. Look at this. This had an RO, but it doesn't do anything. The RO, it must not even exist. Gross. Oh, the weight is in there. There's just something hanging on it that's keeping the weight from working. All this CPVC. Oh, the RO. You guys can see there's the RO drain line. Oh, you know what? The RO's in the other cabinet. No, it's not. Where does this water line go? Ah, we found it. What on earth, guys? Okay, we found more nasty junk. The RO filters are right there. The tank's over there, and it's all cut out. I don't know what decoration day is. I also don't know why there are straight up work lights in a cabinet. We'll put that RO downstairs and we'll run two really long lines, one for the softener tank. I know, one of you guys in the comments suggested it. I did the softener tank in the garage of my old house. The thing is, I only use about 3 bags of salt a year. So I absolutely do not care about carrying those 3 bags down the stairs. But, you know, my dad was over here yesterday and was like, put the tank in the garage. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And then he said, put the RO in the basement. And I was gonna put it back under the sink because really, like, the RO only feeds your drinking water and your fridge. So why wouldn't you put it as close to the point of access? But it's so much easier to work on in the basement. And if it ever breaks, everything's okay because it's right beside the sump pump. So we're doing that. We are doing that. Also, that RO water line's super cheap. It can't be more than like 45 bucks. So, all right, well, we know how this house used to work and we know we're replacing it all next time.